The Gothic cathedral was a kind of miracle, the tangible result of 2 centuries of economic growth and prosperity, especially in the cities. By the 13th century, the cities became magnets for farmers bringing their new surpluses, for traders eager to buy and sell, and for a new international merchant class who worked from warehouses and docks along the waterways, like this one here at Amiens. The medieval city provided excitement, opportunity, and freedom. As the cities grew, they competed with each other for trade and business, just as cities do today. International traders, cloth merchants, and grain dealers mingled with the faithful outside the house of God. One of the things that attracted people and encouraged them to come from far away, bringing their money with them, was the relics. In most cases, the greater the cathedral, the greater and more powerful the relics it contained. This is said to be the head of St. John the Baptist, kept among the treasures at Amiens. It was brought back to France by the Crusaders, who scoured the Holy Land for relics such as this. The relics and the miracles they could produce were considered so important in the Middle Ages that King Louis IX paid a fortune for what he believed to be Christ's authentic crown of thorns. There is more than a little dispute about whether it actually was. There were several crowns of thorns making their way through Europe at that time, all equally well authenticated. So there was a strong connection between a cathedral's drawing power and its town's wealth. A definite link between business and religion. For example, the town docks at Amiens were jointly owned by the merchants and the cathedral chapter. A town's relation to its bishop could often be strained. In 1112, the citizens here in Laon were so unhappy with their cruel and cynical Bishop Gaudry that they bought a communal charter from the king to separate themselves from him. When Gaudry got back to town, he paid the king even more to annul the charter, leading to considerable unrest. Gaudry's soldiers murdered the leader of the townsmen in cold blood. So the outraged citizens marched right into this palace, dragged the bishop out, cut his head off, and set fire to the cathedral and to the palace. The new bishop had to send the local relics on tour twice, just to pay for repairs. Financing a cathedral was hardly ever an easy task, even in the pious Middle Ages. 100 years after Laon, the people of Reims rose in bloody revolt against heavy taxation and halted construction for years. In fact, peasants all over France who could least afford it were often made to bear the heaviest financial burden. Construction taxes forced many peasants to borrow from city merchants and moneylenders, who themselves would profit handsomely again once the cathedral was completed. Ironically, the local parish churches sometimes suffered most of all, as they had to stop their own building projects and repairs and pledge large sums of money to the cathedral fund. Each cathedral had its own story, and there was a darker side to many of them, including, as we'll see, Beaulieu.
We live in an age of wonders. Every day I thank God that in our time he has revealed his science to us so we could glorify him with our cathedral. Master Guillaume himself is a wonder. Though the years hang heavy on his shoulders, his zeal is that of a child. Yesterday he explained the roofing process to a new group of apprentices, as if for the first time.
The roof will be a series of triangular trusses which the carpenters will first assemble on the ground. After this test, they will dismantle and hoist each one to the top of the walls, where they will be reassembled. The trusses and the beams connecting them are secured with strong oak pegs.
This is not work for the timid.
Once the beams are in place, we can erect a windlass to hoist the rest of the timber and help in setting up the trusses. In the meantime, the roofers will be casting lead sheets to cover the wooden frame. They will also cast the drain pipes and gutters. Water will be directed through the lead pipes and channels down and away from the roof and out of the mouths of the gargoyles.
That should prove a chastening sight for the wicked, showing the spirits of hell awaiting the unrepentant.
With the roof and gutters in place, we will have the protection we need to begin the vaulting. The stone, mortar, and heavy materials will be raised by means of the great wheel. First, temporary wooden centerings will be mounted on the scaffolding. Then, the cut stones of the ribs, the voussoirs, will be hoisted onto the centering and mortared by the masons. Then, they can insert the keystone and lock the ribs together at the crown. These ribs become a frame for the construction of the vault itself. The vaulting is made up of webbing, layers of lightweight stone mortared together. Initially, it will be held in place by wood lagging underneath. Once the mortar has set, a 4-inch layer of concrete will be poured over the entire vault to help stabilize it. Only when it is set can the lagging and centering be removed, and we proceed to the next bay.
Too advanced in age to climb to the roof any longer, Master Guillaume supervised the operation from the ground. His assistant, Robert de Cormont, urged him to rest, but Guillaume would have none of it.
Robert! You do not go to bed when you are halfway up the mountain.
That moment will be forever engraved in my memory.
Quick! Over there!
Master Guillaume! He's dead. Lord have mercy.
All work ceased after the wall collapsed, and the following day, Master Guillaume de Senlis was laid to rest in the transept. As he did for Bishop Philippe, His Grace spoke glowing words for Master Guillaume.
Would that he had been half so kind to Master Guillaume while he was yet alive.
Immediately after the service, Robert began a meticulous investigation into the cause of the collapse. He delivered his report 5 weeks later to the assembled chapter.
The stone was weak and ill-suited to the purpose, just as Master Guillaume predicted. The stone from the quarry of the bishop.
And I now have proof that Bishop Gervais has been diverting funds pledged to the cathedral building to his own personal use.
Something must be done.
There was no turning back. I was charged to write a letter to King Louis himself. Within a month, the king arrived in Beaulieu with the announced intention of touring the cathedral. But that evening, he met in private with the chapter and the dean. And I would be telling an untruth if I denied that there was much relief in the chapter and town when word came that His Majesty summoned His Grace to fulfill a vow he had taken many years before to go on a crusade. He was buried in North Africa. God rest his soul. Upon the departure of the bishop, an accounting was conducted of his holdings.
There is no money left. Construction cannot resume.
These are dark days for us. The cathedral stands uncompleted. The sheds of the masons and carpenters are empty. Neighboring towns prosper at our expense. Only a miracle can help us now. And I fear I may not see it.